March, last trading day of March. So let's get into it. DXY we're going to start with. Price is still pulling back. It did come back in to test this weekly zone, and now it's back below the 4 hour 50. I reckon price will come back up because of such a big push we had here. It hasn't even hit 382 fib yet from that first push. So I do believe it may, people look to get in early and then it's going to come all the way back up. So obviously DXY correlates, if it doesn't know, and for any newbies, DXY correlates with the US dollar. So when we go up to Euro USD in a minute, it's going to flip upside down, reversewards. So if I do that now, I'm going to tap my space bar and it will bring me through my watch list, even though my watch list is just closed away. Euro USD, you can see it's now completely back, exactly the same with give or take. So we've got a shoulder, head, shoulder inverted with a weekly zone as it is here that I've now moved up top. Price broke through, straight through the weekly zone and pushed right up to here. So that would have been a lovely trade from there all the way up. Didn't manage to catch an entry for myself. We then got a double top from here, but weren't sure if price was going to push right through. We didn't have enough confluences to break below. So now we've got that on here. We've got a double top with a pullback, and that's why I now reckon it's going to come all the way down. One, because we haven't even hit 382 fib from this point, and two, if we drop down to the 4 hour time frame, so we're on a daily at the minute, you can see I want price to come down and test the daily 50 and the weekly zone, so we can go right up to there. We get a 1 to 5 on that, depending on what our stop loss is. Got a 45 pip stop there, quite a decent size stop loss. Let's jump to the 4 hour. And then on the 4 hour time frame, what you can see is we've got this double top. Price has then double pulled back there, so we pull out right through there. Put it right through. I like to make it nice and even. Yeah, there we go. Price is now rejecting here, so we can get a nice rejection here. We could even probably have a short trade from, well, I want to be below the 4 hour 50, but if we could get a short trade from like here down to this zone, that's 130 pips with a stop loss of, if you said 50 pips, you're still going to get a 1 to 3 there and then come all the way back up. So an option there, if you did want to take it, I'll possibly, if it comes up, I might take it. If not, then we'll leave that be. But yeah, I want to see this for the bigger setup. Price to test the weekly and daily 50. That'll bring us 50% fib, which is good. Weekly zone. Oh, pardon me for that. And then yeah, weekly zone, daily 50, and the 50% fib. So we've got a nice free markup there, so we can get a good tight stop loss behind them barriers. But I reckon it's going to be more of an end of week play by the time that gets down to here. So it's maybe like a Friday trade or even early next week to get in for this one. But we could have a short trade down, which I will look at and keep an eye on. So that's why it's on my, it's not on my watch list, but I will add it to that for the short trade. So a bit like longer term plays that I know this is going to be end of the week, I won't add it on here. But stuff that's in play at the minute, I will add on. ADCAD, we are in this from Wednesday last week. Price is struggling to break this little mini zone at the bottom here. It will go, I reckon, but that's why I'm still holding the trade. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. So you can see we have one test, 2 tests, 3 tests of this big strong zone. So we've got the 4 hour 50, daily 50, weekly 50, and this head and shoulders neckline here. Sorry, double top neckline here. So we've got a decent zone there, a nice decent size stop loss. Stop loss is not to entry at the minute. I want to see price break through this and create this what I'm in. So if we can get a nice push down to here and it starts pulling back, then I'll put stop loss to entry, because we're probably going to be about 2% in profit there, maybe just over. Give us a nice bit of room to play with, so you can have like 60 pips. Let me pull the little pencil out. So from entry, yeah, again, look, you're going to be 60 pips to about there where I've marked. So you're going to have 2%, nice bit of play. If price does come back up into this sort of zone, the 30 pip mark, you're going to be okay. Biggest thing is you don't want to like move stop loss to entry now and then price just takes you out and then absolutely sinks and you're right, I've held the trade for 5 days now or 4 days and then it's now sunk just and I've been taken out because I put stop loss to entry too early. So got big strong barriers, happy to leave it to play, see how it gets on. ADJPY, we had price test the daily 50 and I looked at getting in a trade there, which was not successful, and then price come all the way back up and has tested it again. So we're waiting to see if price was going to push off or if it was going to carry on right the way up through and fulfill this double bottom we had here. Price has now rejected the daily 50 again and now absolutely sunk, which is lovely. So we say, well, we've missed the trade, but we have not. We missed the MSB trade, but that's because the MSB trade wasn't strong enough for us to take. So now we wait for the BC, which is the pullback and then the continuation. So that's what we're waiting for at the minute. We'll wait and see if price will, if it's just going to carry on sinking as it is at the minute, or if price will pull back to some point so we can get a nice entry and grab a nice little 1 to 4 in there. So if I drop down, so we've got obviously daily 50s and the trend line is what it's rejecting. There was a big weak head and shoulders, I believe, neckline in here, which I've deleted. So it makes it nice and clear. Or is it just a big zone? No, it was head and shoulders, which was there. You can see we've got shoulder this side, head, main one there, and then this shoulder. It's not perfect by any means, but it was there. And that's what we got the continuation coming down here. So let me drop down to the 1 hour time frame and show you what's going on. We can get rid of that. I don't need that. So we had first double rejection, and then with the second, and then price pulled back just to one more time to test that daily 50 and absolutely plummet from there. Would have been a lovely trade. Wouldn't have been an entry on the hour time frame on that. But then again here, so you probably have to drop down to the smaller time frame, 15 minutes. But yeah, you could, if you did get in there, it would have been a lovely trade there. Could have had 30 pip stop. Yeah, you'd be at 1 to 5 now. Literally dead on. Yeah, beautiful trade there. But we didn't get that. Not enough confidences. So we'll see if we can get this now. If we can get a pullback, nice and simple. Just want a pullback into, which will be, we run it from there. 50% fib is where we want to be. By then, the 4 hour 50 EMA, which is here, would have moved down to where we are. So we're going to have stop loss above the 4 hour and the 1 hour 50 EMA. And we should be good to rock and roll. If it doesn't, price just carries on pushing down that last bit. Then we see if price will come back up again. That may be an option. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So yeah, we're just waiting for that pullback. If we don't get the pullback, trade will be no longer valid. Enter DCHF. Bit of a weird one. Same as last week. There wasn't a lot with this pair. I dropped to the daily. So what you can see again, price did test the weekly zone with a reason. And then come all the way back up to test the daily 50. And now is on its way back down again. But not a lot of structure. So we broke out of this channel. We did have a trade a couple of weeks ago. I think off of this pullback here and down. Just a bit all over the place. Price obviously then created like a bit of a head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, or inverted shoulder, head, shoulder. And then pushed up. And then it's come all the way back down. Didn't really get a major bit of confidence here for head and shoulders. With a little bit of a dip here. But wasn't big enough to make anything play out, and then its price has come down. So at the minute, not a great deal coming from me. You had a double test of the daily 50 there, and push. Could get a decent pullback. If we can get a nice pullback into this bottom zone, probably wouldn't be a bad trade if we could get into back into here. So if price decided it wanted to pull back, all I'm always looking at is where my stop loss is going to be. So if price wants to come back into here and then come down, can we get our stop loss above that 4 hour 50 or a couple of decent zones is what I'm after. So you could come in, you could have a 20 pip stop, could go in with 25 pip stop, something like that. Let's see if we can get a nice little short 1 to 2 in that. Yeah, just about. So something like that you could play out with quite easily. But you're just going to, again, need to make sure you see that pullback. It's just a continuation, that is. There's not a lot of structure behind that. You're just going with a continuational flow. Stop loss above the 4 hour 50 as a barrier. And just see if you can get a nice little short 1 to 2 for 50 pips. Euro NZD. Again, we have this pushed up through the moon. So we was looking trades in here. I had a couple of trades waiting for that push up. It just took a lot longer. And price just made that lovely channel before it actually done one. We tried getting in here as well. You can see it pushed through the daily 50, tested the weekly zone, and then we tried catching this trade, and it just come back to entry and took us out of entry before going final time all the way up. And then we just didn't get that pullback at all, where you could have had like a pullback in here to get in the trade and then up, or again here. It just didn't. It just carried on pushing. So at the minute, nothing major for me. We are quite above a lot. There's not a lot of data above that. We've just got that one big spike, and that's going, yeah, you're going nearly 10 years back, over 10 years back, and there's nearly nothing there at all. So just have to see what price does. Price may, what I did look, see if price would come back down, test the daily 50 before pushing back up again. So if price would have done this, we have 1 push, 2 push, and then pushed off, because you've got the daily 50, you've got that weekly zone, you can get your stop loss behind some barriers. Otherwise, you just don't know what's going to happen. So at the minute, I've got nothing playing out on Euro NZD at all. Even if I drop down the lower time frames, there's just not a lot there. Not a lot of structure. This didn't even quite create an equal, because if you create an equal, it would have been there. So yeah, just not a bit of me. Finally, GBP JPY, we had one trade last week on this, which was a loss before price just pushed off. We've got a 30-minute time frame on. It's going to load. Yeah. So we had TP the week before, but then price just literally just took us out at a sell, at a stop loss, sorry, before it then just pushed off. So you can't win them all. But yeah, going to do a few tweaks on that this week, just see if I can get a little bit more trade volume in. We haven't had a lot of trades, we're only having like 3 and 4 a month. See if we can just bring them profits up and yeah, go from there. From that, what else we've got after that? If we go daily time frame, I need to turn that off because that'll do it on everything. Bitcoin, anyone wants to know, is coming down still. I reckon it's going to come and test into this £55,000 mark, which is where the previous highs were. You can see it's set up quite well for that. Big double top, price neckline, pull back, and then again, it's just going to sink off down to there. So yeah, go for that. I'm not going to get involved with that at £56,000 a coin. Not involved with me. I ain't got. I think to add that, you got to be buying 10 coins to make any good money on that. So you're putting $500,000 in to see what you can make on that. So yeah, it's a bit of a more risky move to me. XRP though, on the other hand, is only no. The XRP £1.50 a coin, and price is well, it's not quite. It's at £1.58 at the minute, and we're going to see if price will come down to that £1.50 mark. See, we've got a big head and shoulders, so it could even come further. I was looking, as you can see, I'm marked here for the pound. See if price can get to the pound mark down here. But we'll have to see. I don't know if he's going to do that. But I will be buying at £1.50 if it comes to that. It did come the other day, but I weren't set up for it. So if he comes back, we're going to get him. You can see that's just above the previous highs here of the first major push when it first come out. It pushed up to there. Yeah, it's just gonna be. I'm just gonna put money in that I'm able to lose if it goes. So don't. If you haven't got money able that you're just willing to lose, then don't bother sticking it in this, because it's not really. We haven't got a lot of backing in it, and obviously I'm only new into crypto, so I'm just dabbing my feet in with little stuff. Again, Ethereum, that's coming down quite well. I was going to buy some at £1.50, but it seems to be pushing off quite nicely. So going to give it another couple of days to see if price come down into this sort of zone I've marked. You can see that sort of zone I've marked through there to see if price is going to come in and test that, and that's at the 12.50 mark. So buy a couple of coins at that, and then just hold it. If you just double your money and let it get to 3,000, and then pull out. At the end of the day, you've still made a nice bit. But yeah, you just with this and the cryptos, from my point of view, is you're just buying, holding it for a little bit of a longer term play, but you don't really know in what direction it is going to go to. So that's it. Overall, quick recap is going to be Euro USD. We're waiting for that big pullback, but possibly could get a smaller play early this week if we get a break below that 450, and everything's looking good. AD CAD, we're hoping for a push. It's started to pull back a little bit already as we speak. Got that engulfing candle. A really big railroad track, so that might be now our time for the push. But we'll see. We're waiting for it. AD JPY, we're waiting for that big pullback if we get it. NZD CHF, again, waiting for a pullback into that little mid zone so we can get stop loss above the 450. NZD CHF, there is nothing. So yeah, that's what we're looking at this week. It's Monday, so trade safe, last day of the week, so don't try and avenge trade if you're in a loss for March, which I currently am in a 2% loss for March. I'm not going to look and try and enter anything that's not ready to rock and roll. AD caddies from last week, so if that comes in, that will put me 3% in profit, but we'll have to see if that play does come in or not. But yeah, so have a good week. And any analysis you've got or want me to check over, just add it in and I will go over that.